What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Clippers Latest, where we talk all things LA Clippers, quick, fast, and to the point. I'm your host with the most, Brandon Goggins, here with another episode for you guys today. Clip gang or don't. Bang, you hear me? I'm sure a lot of you are probably not saying that at the moment because, well, we'll talk about it in a second. But first of all, how are we all doing, man? I hope that everybody is doing as well as they can on whatever day you may be watching this. Um, Life is what it is, like it is life. Life is what it is, and there aren't too many things that you can do about that. Life is just something that's going to continue to keep going. The world is going to stop. One monkey don't stop no show. So, with that being said, let's quickly talk about this right here. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Obviously, the Clippers lost again, this being to the Orlando Magic, and I'm not even going to be doing the normal post game format because I don't see a point in doing it. That's also because I didn't get to watch the game live, so I don't have my usual note by note breakdown that I usually base my content off of. But I was keeping up with it as the best that I could at the place that I was at until the score made me decide to, focus on where I was at and, try and, be happy. Because I didn't feel like it was good for my mental and for those who were around me if I were to let the Clippers getting their actual asses handed to them kind of deteriorate the vibe that was going on at the place that I was at. I was celebrating a birthday, Who wants, somebody negative at the birthday party. I wouldn't. So I decided to just, choose peace. I chose myself. Like I said, because the Magic quite literally put belt to ass, and they did it with very much ease. We didn't win a single quarter, for starters. They had 5 different players in double figures, and guess how many we had? 2. One of those was Zubats, 14 points. 14 points. Usually I would not be like, oh my gosh, he scored 14 points, and I'm still not. But he did have 19 boards, so shout out to the big man holding it down because, yeah, it was another one of those cases where nobody else had over 5 rebounds. Zoo was on an island out there in that aspect, but you know what? Life gonna life. It is what it is. Once again, James Harden had to try and put the cape on. Once again, 4-0. 31 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds, all wasted. We are literally wasting his talent while we still have it. I've said it the last few videos, and I'm going to continue to say it as he continues to shine and we continue to be dull. I still have faith that he'll see it all through, but I wouldn't blame him if he were looking around and saying, like, where are my other options? I do think that he knows the circumstances. Like, obviously, we are not at our full health, at our full capacity. But I can only imagine that it's very frustrating to be literally giving it your all at 36 years old and not being able to really reap the benefits from it. It has to be aggravating. But again, I don't have a deep breakdown because I didn't see the full game. But let's be real. The result is still the same as it has been for the past 8 out of 9 games, or is it 9 out of 10? I don't know. Regardless, bro, we've won once. We've won once, bro. We let Harden and Zoo do everything while everybody else just, sits back and watches. So instead of doing the quarter by quarter, breakdown how I usually do, we're going to move on to some other topics, which I feel will be more entertaining than just talking about the Clippers getting their asses beat. Starting with Kawhi. Kawhi Leonard has now missed 9 straight games, and it has been nothing short of a tragedy without him. In these 9 games, again, reiterating, we have won one of them. One time we have won. Shout out to the Mavericks. And although it's only been like 2 weeks, in retrospect, 9 games feels like a full month and a lifetime when you're losing all of them. Shoot, like it it's painful to watch, man. Um, and I hate that we're struggling without him, but I also hate how much scrutiny he's kind of getting. The same old narratives about his health are definitely back. I was sitting somewhere, I can't remember where I was, but people in the room with me were saying, I think Kawhi should just hang it up. I think it's about time. It should just be done with basketball. And I understand where they're coming from with that, but I just feel like he worked so hard to come into this season in elite form, and he worked so hard to make sure that his body would be able to withstand a lot of things that go on, like a lot of wear and tear on his knees. It wasn't even his knee that he hurt, you know. It was an ankle injury, and that set him back. And I know that a lot of people, I was one of them for a second, but like it was kind of in a joking way because I know that injuries don't just like people don't just magically come back from injuries. These are still humans. Yes, they may have access to maybe more advanced equipment, more better medicine that they can use to maybe expedite that healing process. But at the end of the day, like an injury is still an injury. And my brother actually just got hurt in a similar way. He plays basketball for his high school team, and I've seen his ankle, and it looked very similar to how Kawhi injured his. So I'm kind of seeing firsthand what that recovery process can look like and how long it can be. Um, Especially if Kawhi wants to come back to 100%, how he was looking preseason and the first few seasons of the game. Um, it's not going to be immediate, and 2 weeks may be asking him to come back too soon. Um, I think realistically, we could see him back maybe the week or so, maybe 2 weeks before Christmas, but even that may be asking a lot. I have seen him in some practice photos, which is promising. I've heard that he's been doing like some light workouts with the team and is like getting some limited involvement in practice. But until he's suited up on the court, we unfortunately just have to wait it out and sit tight. But still wishing the best for Kawhi, and I hope that he can get a speedy recovery and help get this team back on the rails, because without him, we are going everywhere but the rails. We are so far off of the train track that we might be driving into the Pacific Ocean, and we're going to get so deep into the ocean that we're going to fall into the Mariana Trench, and we'll never be seen again, and this team will be forgotten about in history. So, not to be dramatic, but that's how I'm looking at it. Anyways, moving on. So listen, y'all. Listen, I'm just entertaining it. I saw a report. Well, I don't even know if it was a report. I just saw LeVar Ball be very vocal that he wants LaMelo and Lonzo to team up on the Clippers. And I don't have a locked-in opinion yet, but I'm definitely listening. There were some reports circulating that LaMelo might be open to a trade, in correspondence with how bad the Hornets have started. He responded like somebody that loves Charlotte and sees himself there long term. He replied with like a clown emoji to whoever reported it. And maybe he does. I wouldn't doubt it. They've showed him a lot of love. He's the face of the franchise, and the people love him there. But it gets to a point like, how many mediocre, trash, embarrassing seasons can you endure before you're like, I've had enough. I need to go explore my options elsewhere, like on some Dame stuff. But it's a different situation, you know? He's not a Giannis where he's built a winning culture. He's not on a team with championship expectations. He's not on a team with, this storied franchise history. He's on a franchise that has never made any noise. Ever. Like, ever. And that's That's not even like championship, like playoffs. Like nobody has ever been scared of the Hornets or the Bobcats in the playoffs. They've always been notoriously bad, at least in this century. So, you know, they're definitely the optics are, they're dancing. He's only 24 years old. So there's still a lot of basketball to be played at a high level for him. But Charlotte just hasn't really given him something to work with. There aren't stars going to Charlotte, you know? Like nobody's like, "Oh my gosh, I got to go to Charlotte." Like he was drafted there. That's how he ended up there. And he's built a name, it's a trendy team, a lot of people follow LaMelo, but nobody is really caring about the Hornets per se. Coming to LA, I know that it's not, the franchise golden boy LA Lakers, but it's the LA Clippers, which is still a big market because we're still in Los Angeles. Coming back to the city where he basically blew up with all his hype and, a brand new chance to rebuild his image as a potential winner. And we haven't even gotten to arguably the best part of it. What if we were to make a move that would allow us to acquire Lonzo in some capacity? That's even more insane. A Ball Brothers reunion would draw eyes, it would create energy, and it would make other players want to come. People would want to join up with them. Both LaMelo and Lonzo can play with any type of star, any type of role player, any type of player in general. They're ball movers, they're facilitators. They create opportunities for everybody around them. Yes, LaMelo is more of a scorer than Lonzo is in comparison, but LaMelo still be dishing it out, I think that Lonzo is better at it, but LaMelo still does it at a very efficient pace. Efficient, he still be turning it over. But, we have somebody that, has been amazing for us, but still be getting turnovers. But Lonzo, he's been doing pretty well in Cleveland off the bench so far. Being a steady two-way piece for him, and they're both very unselfish, high IQ players. They're culture changers, literally. And y'all know how I was saying that John Morant is the type of player that could shift the team's energy just by his presence. I firmly believe that the Ball brothers could do the same, maybe even more, just because people have literally been waiting for years for this. Like, there have been many brothers that have come through and have been on the same, or yes, they've been on the same team. They've, played against each other and like all this. We have a twin on our team whose brother is on a different team, Cam Christie. We just played the Mavericks and we played his brother. But it's different because the Ball brothers had so much hype coming out of high school that like we followed all of their journeys, all three of them. I know that Jello's not in the league, but we followed all of their journeys after they ended high school, and like we really wanted to see how their success would pan out. And it was almost so storybook with them being together in high school. Lonzo ended up going to UCLA. Obviously, Jello went, but like it didn't work out for other reasons. So LaMelo never ended up going there, but it would have been such a cool story to see them all reunite in Los Angeles somehow. And a lot of people would, find that as groundbreaking news. Lonzo was in Los Angeles on the Lakers, and that was a big deal. Everybody was looking at LeVar like, dang, he's crazy, but he's right. Imagine if he were to find a way to get Lonzo and LaMelo on the same team in LA again. Like it would be a storybook type of thing. And I know that it sounds far-fetched for now, but you truly never know what the future could bring. We don't know what our future is looking like. So, hey, you can never be too sure, But while we're on the topic of LaMelo, we play the Hornets tomorrow night. And honestly, this is probably going to be our most even matchup that we've had in a minute. Charlotte is 4-11. We are 4-11. We are both 12th in our respective conferences. We are both severely underperforming. We both have significant injuries that are holding us back. The only key difference is they're young, we old. Simple as that. So it'll be two opposite play styles colliding for the most part. Um, and I would like to think that we would match up well against them, but I've been so wrong about this team all season that I wouldn't be surprised if we got blown out by 30. So it is what it is, whatever. But like in theory, we should like be able to hang with them. But I'm not even gonna say anything anymore. Like I'm just gonna wait until it happens. Um, but yes, we're gonna have to worry about LaMelo and Miles Bridges on the offensive end. But you know, the dark. I'm not even gonna call him a dark horse because people are starting to take notice. But their rookie Con Knipple is the real deal. Like people have been sleeping. They're waking him up. They're like, why did he go fourth overall in the draft? Cooper Flag overshadowed him at Duke, but Con Knipple was like really good, and he is showing that right now. He leads the entire rookie class in scoring, and it's looking like that he's the early favorite for Rookie of the Year. I mean, he just had 28 in a loss to the Pacers, in a loss to the Pacers the other night. So that's just proof that he can get hot quick, and we don't need him to get hot quick. Because I'd be damned if we let Con Knipple drop 30 on us. No, we're not letting that happen. Kobe Sanders, this is your moment to show that you can hang with these rookies in your class. Even more importantly, the lottery picks in your class. I know that you had a quieter showing against Orlando, but you have proven that you can hoop. It's a perfect opportunity to bounce back and, prove yourself. Show that, we have bad games, but we all respond. This is going to be the first real test. But at the end of the day, we need to make some shake, man. We're at the back end of this road trip, and hopefully, we can grab a win to try and build some momentum to finish this road trip out and, kind of build some momentum before returning home. But that is going to do it for this episode, y'all. I hope that you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and consider subscribing. If you are new here, let me know your thoughts on everything that we talked about today. How do you think that we'll pair up against the Hornets? What do you think about the Ball brothers having a reunion in LA? Would you think that would be ideal? Do you think that would be when do you think Kawhi will be back? When do you think he should be back? And if you have any thoughts on tonight's game, please do leave them in the comments because, yeah. But like I said, I'm gonna get on up out of here. Y'all be easy. Y'all stay sleazy. Y'all always keep it capital Peasy. I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one. Y'all take it easy. Peace.